welcome to another episode of the Nerd Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we interview young entrepreneurs around the globe in order for you to learn and get inspired to turn your own ideas into reality. I'm your host, Dan, and today I am as thrilled as ever to share yet another exciting startup story with you. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hi, Dave. Nice to meet you again.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time today. It's a beautiful, beautiful weather outside. I'd love to talk to you a bit about your startup, a bit about your story, how you came from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. And I'd like to start to know first a bit more about yourself. Who are you? How old are you? What did you study? And also, of course, what is the startup you're currently involved in?
Yes, I'm 28 years old and I studied management. Did my bachelor at university in St. Gallen, and then I worked for 1.5 years in the consulting industry, mainly in the healthcare area, which was a very for me, it was a very inspiring experience because since until then I was not that hard working as a student. It was more about fun and going out and stuff like this. And from then on, I had a clear focus what I want to do, and this was the master in business innovation. And this master was very interesting in my opinion. It was somehow a little bit an intersection between business and technology and also between business and new trends. And for me, since then it was clear that I want to start my own company, but I did not know in which area. And then I finished my master 2 years ago, and I started working in another consulting firm, and the focus was mostly on innovation consulting. So what we did is we created new business models or MVPs for companies in typical Swiss industries like banking, insurance, a little bit health. And I really liked what I did there. I mean, we did a lot of cool concepts. We had a very young and dynamic team. But at the same time, I missed a little bit the traction these projects had or the impact they left. So it was most of the time they were fancy presentations, nice concepts, but then not much more. And yeah, so that's why I quit the job and started my own company this month.
All right, so that's very, very recent.
Yes, it is.
How is it feeling for you? How is it going?
I mean, that's actually my second week where I work full time on the project and I have nothing else to carry about. So on the one hand, I feel very free and it's beautiful. You can do what you want. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. So if the weather is good, you can go outside. No, I'm joking. So for me it was some kind of relief because I can really focus on this one project and I really like what I do now. But at the same time, I feel an immense pressure. I feel a pressure by myself to be successful, but also the pressure from my community, my family, my friends and everything. So I really feel that pressure. And before I did it full time and with a full focus, it was always like, okay, I do it aside. This is not my first job. This is not where I have to be successful. So you can say that the pressure is much higher, but I think you also need this pressure. At the same time, it is wonderful. You don't have to ask yourself in the morning, oh, what the fuck I'm going to do now or today. So it's actually what you want to do, and yeah. So yeah. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're a very, very energetic person. Anyways,
yeah.
We've studied together. But since you started this new project, we've talked a couple of times and you seem even more energetic. So I feel like it's a positive move that you did. You mentioned shortly MVP. For many of our listeners or viewers, that's a new term. It's a minimum viable product.
Yes.
Right? It's one of the first steps you take. It's one of the first products you build that has the least amount of features possible, just the feature that really the customer needs the most, right? How far along this stage are you with your startup? Maybe you can tell us more about your really concretely the project.
Yes, sorry. Maybe just a few words what we are doing. I mean, at Collect Idea, that's the name of the company. We are the mission is to revolutionize resale markets. So yeah, that sounds fancy. No, in the end, it's quite simple. What we want to do is we want to build an ecosystem with a platform on top, but it should also be adaptable to other platforms where you can trade collectibles, starting with rare collector sneakers, but where you can trade collectibles forgery proof. So this means as a buyer, you have the guarantee 100% that the item you purchase is 100% original and no fake. And this is especially in for collectors, it's a really big thing because collectors never know if they buy something that is fake or if it's real. And in the internet, it is usually impossible to know that from a picture or a video if the desired product is original or fake. And that's what we want to offer to our customers. And in terms of how far we are with the MVP development, I would say we are still in the beginning. We had some, I don't know how to say, we had some time lags or some
setbacks.
Yeah, exactly, some setbacks. That was mainly due to people who were not able to work on the project with their full capacity. So actually, we are maybe 1 or 2 months in behind, but the goal is to have the MVP finished in, I would say, August or September this year. So it's very straightforward. The development team is doing a great job right now. They are making progress every day. So I'm very confident that we keep this time schedule. But at the same time, we are still at the very beginning. Yeah.
So to summarize, just to make sure I understand it correctly and our viewers and listeners, you are building a solution for people who trade collectibles, which are, for example, very rare sneakers. So Nike sneakers, limited editions. So people who collect these items, they have a problem, and the problem is that when they buy them online, these items, they're not sure if they're fake or real.
Yes.
So you'll make sure that they know.
Yes.
This is real because it's made sure by Collect ID.
Yeah.
That it's a real product.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we guarantee this. We guarantee this that every collectible is original with our technology. So it's not like that we inspect every item in a physical way. So the technology we use provides us the possibility and the opportunity to guarantee that for example the rare collector sneakers are original.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really big problem, because if you buy it in a physical world, for example on a convention or somewhere else, you can at least check the shoes, you can feel it, you can touch it, but in the internet that's not possible. And we want to make sure that even before you buy the shoe, just when you browse through different shoes, you already know with 100% guarantee that this particular is original.
Yeah. So really amazing solution actually for people collecting expensive sneakers.
Yeah.
How did you find the idea or the problem you wanted to solve? There's many people out there who would really love to do something, but they say, well, I haven't found the perfect idea yet. How did you come to that?
I mean, we have to go a step back, and I would say I'm always brainstorming about new ideas, also with you guys, with friends and everything. I think that's part of my nature. So that's the first thing. I think you should just always talk with your friends, even when it's with a beer. Maybe it starts with a beer, but then you do the next iteration with a water. So no, that I think that's the first thing. So I always thought about new ideas, new possibilities to make business, new technologies. But for this particular idea, for Collect ID, it is quite a fun story. I mean, I started caring about blockchain, I think 1.5 years ago, and actually it started with trading. So I bought some cryptocurrencies, made some good trades, some bad trades, but it was very interesting, and I was really fascinated about this technology. Not so much about the cryptocurrencies, but about the blockchain technology that is underlying these cryptocurrencies. And then I sat together with my co-founder Philip. I think it was in September or October last year, and we had the idea that blockchain is the ideal solution to make sure that something is original or not. And then I thought about another story I had. I think it was in 2014. I bought a Nike shoe in San Diego, and I really liked that shoe, and I researched in the internet the same shoe in red. It was some kind of a special edition. And I tried to buy this shoe on so many different platforms, and I ended up and bought it on a platform from Hong Kong. And the shoe arrived 2 or 3 weeks later, but it didn't look the way I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I tried to find this online shop again, but I couldn't find it. Everything was down. There was no phone number available.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the end, I spent, I think, $100 for these shoes, and they were, first of all, not original, but they were not nice as well. So
Yeah.
and when we talked about the possibilities of blockchain and especially the possibility to make sure, to guarantee if something is fake or real, I thought again about this story, and I thought, oh, maybe sneakers could be the right entry point. And what we did then was we were not just hustling into sneakers, we made a very serious research with all collectibles we know: fine wine, luxury watches, comic books, action figures, and so on. And we did not just like the quantitative research with the numbers, which is obviously very important, how big is the market and so on. So we also did interviews with collectors of every type of item.
Okay.
So I had interviews with comic book collectors, also with sneaker collectors. And for example, I thought about doing it with comic books as well, but then we found out that it's quite easy to differentiate from a picture whether it's original or fake. So we thought, okay, maybe this solution is too over-engineered for this market. And then we talked with the first real sneaker collector. I think I like sneakers, I like to wear sneakers, but I'm not a sneakerhead or a sneaker collector in the way they are.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I really realized that this is actually a huge market and a huge community, and there is so much going on. I mean, there are even companies right now, I think there are 9 or 10 in the US alone, that are doing this verification in a physical way. There are shops, there are even private resellers that they do that for a living. There are guys, 16, 17-year-old guys, they earn a living with selling expensive and rare sneakers to rappers or to other guys. So I realized really that there is a market for this product. And of course, we also did some quantitative research, and the market is quite big. And we realized that they really have a problem, because there are a lot of fakes in this market. They look almost like originals. Sometimes they are even better in terms of quality. That's
Really?
no joke. Yeah, some consignment stores told us that the fakes are that good that the quality is higher. So if you would not care about originality, you would probably wear a fake. And that was the moment when we decided to start this project with sneakers.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, it's very important that you don't limit yourself to this one product. So everything we built so far, the software and the whole IT architecture, it's easily adaptable to other products. So it's not just about sneakers, it's about other products as well.
Yeah.
But I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think you should start with one product or one market and go into this market and really get some traction in this market, prove that the idea works, that the people are buying it, and then you can go to next markets and see how you could adapt the technology for other markets or other products as well. Yeah.
So you really first also had a challenge yourself. This buying the shoe from Hong Kong, that was something that started very early on, and then just based on a topic of interest, as you said, the blockchain. Maybe you can talk a bit more about what the blockchain is for people who don't know it, and then really doing a lot of research and looking at different fields and opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting. I like the story about the sneaker that you bought from Hong Kong. That's a nice one.
That's always the best story, but I think it's just a small part of the story.
Of course.
As you said, I think research is very important. On the other hand, I think you should quickly start to build something. So I just bought some NFC chips online, glue them into the shoe, and then I realized, oh, what the fuck, it's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
So I did some improvement. I bought new chips, I bought security chips that cannot be taken out, and so on. So on the one hand, it's important to do some research, that you don't run in a completely wrong direction, but I would not spend too much time with research. Maybe that's because I'm not the best researcher, but also because I think until you build something, you cannot say if it really works or if there is something. So the MVP is really important.
Yeah.
And about blockchain, you could talk the whole day.
If you have to explain blockchain in one or two sentences to someone who doesn't know, just to understand what it is and what's the value.
I mean, basically for me, I see it just in a different way to store, to save data. So traditionally, or in the past 20 years, there were like central databases. So for example, you and your company, you have your server where all the data is stored. And what blockchain does is that they store data decentralized on different places, on different computers or whatever. And I think the magic or the one big advantage this type of data storage has is that it is not it cannot be manipulated or changed by one party of the system. The only way to manipulate it or to change the data is when 51% of the network would do it, and that's in practice it's almost impossible because you don't know where the data is or you don't know it exactly. So basically it's a way to really safely store data that should and cannot be changed afterwards. So this is called this so-called immutability.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this technology is not the right technology for every use case, because obviously it's quite expensive to distribute your data storage. So it's not possible, for example, right now it's almost impossible to save, for example, a huge amount of video decentralized, or it's a matter of money, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's effectively what I take from blockchain. So it's a decentral and very safe way to store data.
Yeah. I think it's a very important topic for everyone. It's a new technology, or I don't know if it's that new, but it's new use cases are coming up, so it's very interesting for everyone to know what blockchain is.
And I think it's the same with every technology. Right now it's really difficult to see the full potential of the technology. I mean, it started with the cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people laughed about that and thought, yeah, it's just a game or a little bit fun. And then it came this boom last year. Now it's a little bit down, and maybe it is a bubble. I don't know that. I don't think that anyone knows that. But I think we will see the full potential of the technology in 5 or 10 years. It's like with the internet. You could not imagine what you could do with the internet in 1995 or in the 2000s. It's a completely new internet we use now than 20 years ago. Yeah. And I think it's similar with blockchain as well. Yeah.
How did you, that's more on a personal note, how did you personally deal with the uncertainty and the risk that you took quitting your job and not having any fixed income now. How are you dealing with it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's really that's not so easy, right? I mean, there are these small types of uncertainty. I can give you a good example. I had this week or last week, I had to choose a savings account, a bank account for the company, and I had no idea which bank is the right. So I went to my dad, and he said, you have to take the Raiffeisen Bank in Winterthur. And I asked him, why? Why should I take the Raiffeisen Bank in Winterthur? He was like, yeah, that's near to Zurich. You will be in Zurich, and yeah, it's cool. So I thought, oh, he's not the right guy to give me an advice in this topic. But so then I just did some research, and I found out that this one bank, I think PostFinance, is one of the cheapest. They have special offer for young entrepreneurs, and in the end you just have to make this decision and live with the consequences. So I cannot postpone such a small decision a week later, but it exactly shows the problem or the difficulties when you are a founder. You have no boss, you have no partner to ask, so in the end you have to decide by your own. So that's the one side of the uncertainty. Do I decide right? Are these the right decisions for the company, or do I make some kind of mistake or something? And the other type of uncertainty is the one you said, with the salary, with the uncertainty with the personal situation. And yeah, I mean, in the end, I don't know really what to say about that. I mean, for me, it was just the right move right now to go all in. And at the same time, I just think if you are a young person, and if you are well educated, you will definitely find another job. Probably you find a better job than before. And that's what's made it for me 100% clear to quit this job and to do it, because I have some kind of a time period, and when I'm not able to bring this company to success, and success means, for example, clients, investors, or I don't know, just to keep on doing what we are doing right now. And if that is not possible, so for example, from now on 6 months, and the company is still at the same level, and we don't find investors, we don't find clients, then I will search a job again. But I'm sure that I will find a job. So in the end, it actually is not a big risk. I mean, it would be a risk if I have a family or 2 kids, but especially when you're young or when you're at university, what is the risk? There is not a big risk, right? So, of course, there is an uncertainty. I will not have a salary next month, for example. It's not that I can just pay my rent. I'm not that rich that I don't need a salary. So it is a big thing. But at the same time, when I have no more money, then I search another job, and I will find another job. And I think the things I learn right now, they will make me even better and even more attractive for a future employer.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've heard this before, and I totally agree with you that going on this trip, and if we want to call it a trip, and trying it out on yourself, in the end makes you more employable than you were before, because you have this responsibility, you have these decisions to make that you would never make in a normal job, and you have this pressure that you deal with that is very valuable for a company to have, as in an employee.
And I think there is even one more thing. When you're starting something by your own, that shows you're a type of person who is driving something, who is pushing something, and who has some kind of initiative. And when I would hire someone, I would always search these skills, because I think those people also in companies, sometimes they get limited in corporates, but actually you should really foster their minds and push them so that they push themselves. And as you said, I had a talk with an investor. I think he's a fabulous investor today, and he told me that he will always have more respect from a person who is founding his own company, no matter how far you are, than from a partner from McKinsey. And it was quite fun, because there was a partner from McKinsey in the room as well. So he was like hitting him with the elbow. But that showed exactly what I think it's not easy to become a partner at McKinsey, and I think it's also a very strong. If you achieve that, you can be very proud of that, obviously, but it's something different if you do it by your own, because you are alone in the beginning, and everyone else is just trying to beat you and to be better or faster than you, and you have to overcome this. And I think people who do this or try this, at least they have some kind of personality that is, as you say, that is even more interesting for companies to hire them.
Yeah. You just said at the beginning you're alone, and you kind of have to fight the world or your competitors, and you also have to convince your family and your friends that it's a good idea. Now you have a team together. Could you tell us more about how you manage to get these people to join you? Because this is one very important step in a startup. You need to surround yourself with people that it can help you get your idea and turn it into reality. What were the first steps you took really concretely to get the first people on board?
To start, I was not completely alone, so I was together with Philip, so we were already two. I think it's always easier to create something when you're not completely alone, because then you can challenge your ideas. And in this type, it was also very important because I come from a business perspective, and I cannot estimate every technical detail. I cannot say that is technically possible sometimes, and he can. So it was a perfect synergy. But then, what I did is I opened up a lot of different channels. So first, I activated my own network. I asked people, hey, for example, do you know a good developer? Do you know a guy who has some expertise in blockchain? Or do you know a sneaker guy? And what I told you before is that, and that's something I learned so far, and that is so amazing, that each conversation, each touch point you have, no matter with who, is triggering something new. For example, there was a friend of my younger brother. They are both studying in St. Gallen as well, and he's passionate about sneaker. So I told my brother, hey, can you arrange a meeting with this guy? I showed him the idea, and we had some nice ideation. And then he came up and said, hey, you definitely have to bring in this one guy. He's the founder of the biggest sneaker convention from Europe. I would never, by myself, maybe I would come up with this guy after long research or maybe 2 or 3 months later. Okay, then I watched my LinkedIn profile, and I saw 2 guys I know this guy as well. So I asked them if they could introduce me to this guy, and they did. And finally he's our head of marketing. So this really shows, most of the time, it's not the first connection or the first email you write that brings you to, for example, a future team member, but it's definitely triggering a new will. And I would say with everyone that is on board right now, it was the way like this. So I met one guy, or I met one person, and they connected me to a new person or to a new guy. And beside this, there are also some kind of tools I use. For example, I really like cofoundme.org. It's a cool. It's a website from, I think, the ETH, and I posted the project. It has not that much reach, but I'm always fascinated because every time I post something, I get at least 2 or 3 replies. Sometimes it's useless. Sometimes it's really cool. So that is one thing, and the other thing is you would be amazed how many people are in your own network. So I mean, you have 1,000 Facebook friends or friends, and they know everyone knows 1,000 friends as well. So it's you have just to encourage your own network, and you will find amazing people there.
I know you're very outgoing. You can go to anyone on the streets and just talk to them. A lot of people are not. What would you tell someone who feels more introverted? What would you recommend them? What insight would you give them, or what recommendation?
Become more outroverted. No, I'm kidding. No, but I think that's a good point you say, because when you meet these people, you have to convince them from your idea, and that is not so easy, because traditionally or normally you are the one who likes the idea the most. But I think that is something I'm really good at, to convince people, also to present my idea. If you're not that comfortable with that, I would. I think, of course, there are a lot of online platforms where you can write down everything. You don't have to do the first interaction face to face, so you can maybe chat with someone, or there are other platforms you can use. But in the end, if you are not able to convince another person to share this vision and to work for you, and I mean right now, beside one person, everyone from our team is working for free. I mean, they get some equity, but they are working for free, and it's not so easy to convince someone to work for free. And I think you should definitely learn that, but you can learn that. So you have to structure your pitch. You have to always ask yourself, with who are you talking? So what is his ambition or her ambition? Is he more interested in developing technology and really wants to talk about technology and get more, or is he just does he just want to earn a lot of money or some kind? So yeah, and I think if you're really not able to do this, you should find the first person who is able to do that and let him that do. Because I cannot imagine that it to convince someone when you're not able to go out and talk with people. So you really have to. Even if I have another friend, he's an insurance broker. He's a crazy guy, and he gave me this one advice, and that's called eat the frog. So what he's doing is always doing the most annoying and most awkward thing in the morning. So for example, if you have like a call with an investor and you are a little bit of fear, or you have a meeting, that should always be the first you do in the morning. So and I really try that, to eat the frog every morning. So it's quite funny, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with what you say. I mean, first of all, of course, you need to be super convinced by your own idea, be it the idea or the problem that you want to face. Then really talk to your network, because everyone has a network. Even if you're an introvert, even if you feel like you have 5 friends, you probably have more, or more people. They don't have to be friends, right? You can just write them on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. And then what I really liked what you said is put yourself in the other person's position, because everyone has their own goal in life. Maybe it's not a goal in life, but it's a goal for the next 5 years, or interests that they have, and you'll get them on board much easier if what you want aligns with their interests. I think that's really interesting. You said one guy maybe wants to talk about technology, and you probably talk to him about the possibilities of blockchain and a new technology that is super interesting. So I think that's very, very interesting way to go about it. You just mentioned it shortly. Financially, you're saying almost all your team is not getting paid. This is really amazing. How are you doing this?
Yeah, I mean, that means that everyone besides me is not working full-time on the project. So we have one person who is working full-time on the project, and he's paid. So obviously they need some side jobs to earn their living, to eat something. But I think for me that is, it's cool, yeah. But for me it should be the way that you do it, because if someone joins your team because he wants to earn money, he's not the right guy. So first of all, everyone from our team believes in the idea. They think the idea is very cool, and they see the potential behind it. I think the second thing is it's very interesting. Also, if you are, for example, a developer, you're not developing the next Snapchat app or something. It's a new technology. So we will face some obstacles we have to overcome that no one else before us has ever seen. And from a developer perspective, or if you're technology interested, even if you're not a developer, that is very encouraging, because you can solve problems and you can work with a technology that is new. So you create the future, or maybe it sounds a little bit stupid, but it's really about that. So I think that is really important, that people like what they are doing. They're not just executing the same shit every day. So they are creating something new, and with a new technology that is not broadly adapted right now. And Yeah, last but not least, I think a lot is also about the team spirit. So, for example, um, I did some pitching conventions the last weeks, and we won some prizes as well. And when I talk about that, I always talk in the we perspective.
Yeah.
Even if I'm alone there, most of the time I was there by my own, and I did the presentation by my own. But when I talk with the team or with guys from outside, I always talk about we, and we won this thing. So I think as soon as the people are on board, you have to give them the feeling that they are really needed in this company, and you are really happy that you have them on board. And basically, those two things I was always missing in corporates.
Yeah.
I mean, I left this company, and I know that I was really important for this company. I really know that. But the biggest boss didn't tell me when I left. And that's something I really don't like. So I think, you should, how do you say, you should validate the value the people bring to you, because without the people, you're nothing.
Yeah. I think it takes a lot of humility also to realize that. And a lot of people think, the founder is the creator of everything, and also the media puts it that way, right? It's always the founder in the magazines, but I think it's super important to realize that the founder is just the face, and everyone else behind the curtain is working while the founder is pitching. So I think this is the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
Even though you have the team now, there's always ups and downs. How do you manage these struggles? How do you keep your motivation up when, after a bad meeting, or when it goes bad for a week, for example?
First of all, there are always ups and downs. I mean, even the last months when I was not full-time working on the project, it was always like, there are days where you have the feeling that the world belongs to you. So everything is on track, and you think no one can stop you.
Yeah.
And there are those days where you come home and you think, I'm doing really the right thing. So you will have these days. What I do when I'm down, this is, maybe it sounds stupid, but if you listen to really successful founders, everyone tells you that there were so many parts on their way, they get limited, or they thought, oh, now I drop everything. Yeah. And when I heard that the last years, I always thought, that's typical bullshit. But since I really started with that, I really see that's true. So I could drop the stuff already 3 times right now. If I would just listen to other investors, for example, oh, you don't have a patent, oh shit, or something like that. So okay, then we create a patent.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first thing. So I always say to myself, later when I tell my success story, I will tell exactly the same like all those founders. There are so many ways on the way where I could drop everything, but I didn't. Yeah. So you have to motivate yourself. And the other thing is also that you have to accept that a lot of meetings, a lot of investor meetings will not directly get you money. So when you get a follow-up meeting, you can already celebrate that. So you also have to celebrate these small steps. Yeah. But for example, I don't feel comfortable if someone, for example, says, "Hey, congratulations, you founded the company," and say, "We did nothing right now." You can say congratulations when we really achieve something. So it's always a little bit a balance of celebrating the stuff you already reached, and not getting too fascinated about yourself or your company, and still being very critical and challenging. Yeah.
Do you ever ask yourself, am I the right one to do this? I'm not the most expert in this field. This is my first startup. Does that thought ever come?
No. I've never asked myself that until you say it right now. Maybe that's I should ask myself that maybe, but I think important is that I know that I cannot develop, so I will not start to develop for this company. Yeah. But I know that we have brilliant developers on board. Yeah. So no, I don't ask this question, because I also know that for representing the idea in front of investors, for doing the strategic planning and all this stuff, I know that I can that, and I don't doubt in any second on that. So no.
So you really focus on your abilities.
Yeah.
I mean, I said before, you're an extrovert. You really like to talk to people, and you're really good at presenting ideas and concepts. So that's probably why you feel so self-secure about this. Have you had any topics where you thought, okay, I need to gather knowledge about that, and
of course,
and you did that? How did you go about that?
All the time. I mean, we had this example yesterday when it comes to the NFC technology. There are so many possible solutions out there, and I mean, I started with a very simple one, and we have no NFC expert in the team right now. We have to find one, or we will hire one as soon as possible, but we have some smart minds in the team, and then we did some research all together. We read some papers. I had a call with a Chinese company, and I just asked some questions, and that's a way to create some own knowledge, and you will have that all the way. I mean, the small example with the bank account is just a very small thing, or which blockchain is the right one? Should we use Ethereum, or should we build a private blockchain? And the good thing is you don't have to decide that by yourself. So you have a team, and you should encourage the team that everyone says his opinion and everyone brings in his expertise. And if I have the feeling that someone else has more expertise in this field, I also hear of this person, even when I'm thinking I have another idea. So you should also try to get as much knowledge from everyone as possible, but you will always have topics you have no idea in the beginning, and then you have to research and to find a solution.
Not knowing stuff is the starting position, I guess, at every startup, and it's fine. It's totally fine to not know, and you learn along the way by the team members and by yourself online, or just talking to other people that know it better.
And maybe one more thing is that you don't have to know everything right now. So, for example, when we talk about the NFC chip, we will not have the final solution in the MVP. That's obvious, and that's normal. I think that the chip, when we can go this way, and when you're still online and everything works well in 2 or 3 years, the chip will look definitely completely different than it does right now. But you cannot have the ambition to create the chip in a final version. So you start with a prototype, you test, and then you improve. And that is something I really learned at this design thinking class we did at university. Always build, test, rebuild, test as soon as possible, and really test it as soon as possible. Don't wait too long with testing. We did a lot of MVPs the last 2 years, and I would say the biggest mistake we always did was we waited too long with testing. So we created something, and we improved it and improved it and improved it and improved it, and then we asked ourselves, should we release it? And then we say, no, we have to wait. Most of the time we had to wait because due to regulations and corporates, we were not due to reputation risks and stuff like this. But as a startup, just release it.
So build a prototype, really a cheap version, basically, of your product, even if it's fake and doesn't have any of the features, but just as a fake, just to see the reaction of the people. Who do you think should build a startup or should build a business on their own?
I think definitely more people should do it, because, and that's not from my perspective, it's from a perspective as a whole country, for example Switzerland, but also from the whole world. I think there are so many brilliant smart minds out there, and I think more people should found a company, and that also should be more easy from the politic. So they should really do some initiatives to make it more easy for everyone to found a company, so that it should not be that expensive. It should not take you that much time. It should not take you. You should not be paying taxes, for example, for some years. And there are some initiatives in this area, also some acceleration programs. But I think there is still a lot room for improvement. And when it comes to the persons who should found their own business, I think it really depends on yourself. So if you're a person that is fine with working, for example, 9 to 5 and having some concrete tasks, I think it's not necessary, or it's not necessarily useful when you found a company. But if you have a cool idea, yeah, why not trying? I mean,
Yeah.
everyone should found a company if he or she thinks that it's a good idea, because no one can tell you it's a bad idea. Only the customers can when they don't buy.
Exactly.
And then you know.
Yeah.
But as I said in the beginning, most of the time you can create the company as a side job, or you find definitely a new job. So more people should have the courage and just jump into the water.
Yeah. If you could give 3 reasons why you would recommend someone to build a business or to start a startup, what would it be?
First of all, I don't think, and this is also a very common sense, you will not regret what you did, you will regret what you didn't. And I totally agree to that. I cannot imagine when I'm 80 years old, or when I'm lying on the bed dying, that I think, oh, why did I found Collect ID? Never. I'm 100% sure that I will never regret that. So that's the first thing. So if you don't do it, you will regret it. The second thing is that you are your own boss. So you are not working for someone else's dreams, because that's what you do when you work for a company. You will always work for someone else's dream. Maybe your dreams and the company's dreams are somehow aligned. Hopefully they are. But in the end, you're not working for your own dreams. And if you have, actually, this is also, I'm very privileged to do what I do. And I know that. I mean, it's a privilege to found your own company and just to do what you really want to do. So this is not, yeah, you should also keep in mind and know that this is a privilege. It's not everyone can do that, obviously, but that's the second point. So you can do what you want. And the last thing is, and I think in and this is also a social or a thing what affects the whole society. I think in 50 years ago, you became a lawyer, you became a construction worker. You worked your whole life. You get a fair salary after working and so on. You could maybe buy your house, but I think times has changed, and I saw that with my dad. He built a company from scratch. They had were writing red numbers, and he was there for 10 or 15 years. He built everything up, built new sites, new stuff. He did a great job. And then the whole company was bought by a bigger company, and he had some difficulties with the upper management, and he got kicked, and he could not even pack his stuff, and he was working 15 years for this company. He was, I think, 55 years old, had 3 kids, and a lifestyle that you have to pay. And so this safe way, there is no safe way. Maybe there was a safe way 50 years ago, but today there is no safe way. When you work for a company 20 years and then they have to cut costs and they throw you out and you have to find another job with 50 or 60 or even 40, it's not that easy. I think it's easy when you're young, but not when you're old. Yeah. And when you create something by yourself, you can be sure that you have a job. Yeah. So I think it's actually that maybe that sounds crazy, but I think it's the more safe way in the time we live.
That's I never thought about it that way. That's just mind blown.
Yeah,
that's really
maybe that's crazy, but it is.
Yeah, it's possibly true. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on all of these topics. Do you already have a website or any way that people can contact you if they really like sneakers, if they're really into this reselling game?
Of course, we have a website, and you can find it on www.collectid. It's everything written together .net.
Yeah.
And if you are in the sneaker community, if you're a reseller, if you are a collector, feel free to contact us. We would really like to hear your opinion. But also, if you need a job in a startup, just hit me up and maybe we can work together. I don't know. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Let's hope people will find you.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much. And
Thank you
talk
for
to you
the
next
talk.
time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Nerd Entrepreneurs Podcast. Be sure to visit nerdentrepreneurs.com to access the show notes, read about our next episode, and join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs. If you like the Nerd Entrepreneurs Podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and give a review on iTunes. Until next time.